Do you think there can be peace in this world?
In the world, no. No. There's too many negatives. Very few working on peace. Very few. So, but it needs teaching, you know, lots of teaching. Everybody has to teach peace.
You think we can have peace on earth?
That's a tough one because there's going to come a time when there's going to be peace, but it's after the destruction. We're in that tribulation time now, and we got to live it through. It's going to be awful as it is. So we'll go ahead and live this terrible time in our world. Not in America, but the world. America's caught up in it now. Maybe in the wrong way, but eventually they're going to work it out. So anyway, it's not going to be any peace at that time. It's not going to be any peace in Israel. It's not going to be any peace. It's written clear as day. And when our presidents go there and say, oh, we've got a deal worked out, we signed it, and we're going to have peace, have it ever lasted? It's never going to last. Because it's written that it's never going to be peace.
You were saying that if people followed the Quran, there would be peace.
Well, that's you cannot find anywhere in Quran that, you know, to attacking anybody or killing anybody is allowed.
Do you think there can ever be peace where people aren't fighting and making wars?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There's always been wars. But you know, there's no peace even in our own families sometimes. So why would we expect different nations to be peaceful?
Do you think there can ever be peace in the world?
Well, it seems to be very hard because, just like our minds have been making us think that this thing is bad or this person's bad. And it's kind of like your minds do all the work. It's not actually necessarily physically there. Like, I had this friend, and we were skiing while she was snowboarding, and she said ow before she fell. And so, if everybody just put aside all of that and started over, then maybe, yeah.
Do you think there'll ever be peace in the world?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I think we will have peace. Yeah.
We have to start with right here. We have to start with ourselves. I'm so fortunate to be in an area like this where there is peace and quiet, and the animals, the birds, the everything. It's just peace. It's taken me a long time to get there.
It has?
In my life. Oh yeah. But I think the older you get, hopefully the more peaceful that you will become.
Do you think there'll ever be a time in the world where there's not war, where there's peace?
Yeah, that's peace. It's like the United States, a worse offender, you know. You gotta go back in history and it's the United States president that declared war on the Indians, you know. Almost wipe out these Indians, you know. It was President Grant that started the whole process, you know. It's the only good Indians are dead Indian, you know. And so he was the biggest terrorist we have in the whole history. That's what Indian experienced terrorism way back when, because they were getting wiped out, you know. And so they realize that, they remember that. And I know what you got to do to make things better, you know.
What we need to do, we need to talk about, even briefly, is how Islam has been targeted because of the acts of a few militants and a few terrorists. Just as people like Jerry Falwell do not speak on behalf of the whole of Christianity, Osama bin Laden does not speak on behalf of the whole of Islam. In fact, these terrorists are an aberration. They are a minority, and their acts are certainly not condoned by Muslim sources, Muslim scriptures, or by the Muslims themselves. I also think it's time that we get to know the Muslims, and the Muslims also get to know the West and Christians and Jews. Muslims have never perpetrated acts of pogroms against the Jews. They have never initiated a Holocaust against the Jews. They never held an inquisition or mass exiled the Jews the way the Christians have done. I'm not trying to prove that Muslims are better or Islam is better. What I'm trying to say is this targeting of Islam as an intrinsically violent, militant religion is totally unfair and wrong. Because just as Christians have their extremists and fundamentalists, and Christians have committed acts of violence in the name of religion, so have Muslims. I'm not saying that Muslims have not done that. Muslims have done that, and they are wrong in doing so. Islam or the Quran is very clear. It says, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. You cannot compel anybody to become a Muslim or to forcibly convert somebody to be a Muslim. Because when you convert somebody forcibly, you do not create a Muslim, you create a hypocrite. Belief is something which must come from within, not from without.
It's so important not to dehumanize people. Once you start treating a person like a thing, you can do anything you want.
There is a verse of the Holy Quran that God says, we have created you in different languages and in different colors, if I don't misquote. We have created you in different colors and different languages for you only to know each other and know the differences, basically. And the meaning of it is that the differences in culture, language, ethnicity is not to create division among people. It's just for them to recognize where each one is from and learn from each other.
I think Christ does give us peace, but it's a what they also say, it's peace not like the world understands peace. It's a deep sense that everything is going to turn out okay. And that you need to rest, people need to rest comfortably with that. And that at that very deep level, you can be free of turmoil. Now, you may have cancer, you may have marital difficulties, you may have financial troubles, you may be in prison, you may be a soldier in battle. All those things are possible. But there is still, if you really believe the Christian message, there is this profound sense of peace that should be at the core of your being.
The most amazing thing in Islam for me is the closeness to God. God says in the Quran that when you remember God, you are not only not afraid of anything else, but nothing makes you sad. Nothing worries you. And that peace, the inner peace that Islam has given me, is the most beautiful thing.